お待たせいたしました。続いてのタイトルは、アストロボーイ鉄腕アトム、アトムハートの秘密です。解説の方がいらっしゃいます。DBcade さんです。よろしくお願いいたします。
DBcade さんです。皆様よろしくお願いします。アルトさんも一緒にいる
はい。
またいつもね、変な日本語が出てくるけど、それは許してくれるは助かります。実は今日、ワンパンマンのゲームは実況すると思ってけど、その、走る選手が現れてないんだから、バックアップの、アストロボーイ、なんていうや、アトムハートの秘密のゲームが、解説するですね。そのアトムハートゲームは、子供の頃はよくやりました。さっきアルトと話した、本当に懐かしいゲームけど、走るの経験式がないんですね。ただ、その手塚先生の作品は結構大ファンですね。サイボーグ009と、アストロボーイも、そういう系は結構好きですね。可愛いとストーリーも、なんか結構純粋のストーリーがありますわ。大人までもいいですね。もうすぐ、あと3分ぐらい、ここからがだと思います。皆さん、チャットの皆さんよろしくお願いします。そう、これはゲームボーイアドバンスのゲーム、海外が結構人気でしたですね。多分、アストロボーイはそんなになんかテレビが出てなかったけど、ゲームストーンに行った時は、アストロボーイのこのゲームボーイバンスゲームは、在庫は結構ありました。よう覚えてるで、昔はね、ゲーム買うときは、高い特にで、このゲームはよくセールがあった。私確かに、日本の金とか1500円で買いました。でもずっと、国製の頃は2003、2004年はずっとプレイしました。本当に楽しみゲーム。
My movement with her is really abnormal. She has a weird dash. She has bad range. Her major flaw would be that. I think like square triangle is a good combo for like actual clears and stuff, but other than that, she's kind of trapped. We're gonna use Frankie here. Not at the end of the day, she's a weird character. She gets better with higher difficulties because the more trash mobs that are alive, the more people with like clouds over their head you can use to detonate.
一応日本での発売元がセガから発売してるっていう一応書かれています。
そう、セガが発売されたで、ネットでトレジャーともう一つの今調べてるけど、ヒットメーカーっていう会社が作ったんらしい。このゲームの中は別にアストロボーイのファンだけじゃなくて、手塚先生の作品が好きは、結構、なんていう、なんか、レフェレンスがすごく多いので、よく気づくと、音楽か、ステージの名前も、別の作品が、同じネームがありますので、ファンをぜひ楽しんでください。なんかゲーム確かに思い出したら、ストーリーはちょっと違う点がありました。そのゲームの中は、追いつけるはちょっと難しいけど、アストロボーイっていうは、このゲームは、ワットさんのアシスタントが消えてしまった。だから、 アストロボーイが
pretty much be on time for next one after this.
その、
I'll allow you to
悪い人たち
introduce
で
yourself
す
in the game.
誘拐されたたちを追いつけると、もともとなんか悪いのなんか武器を作ってる。だから、世界を、アストロボーイが世界を作るの、物語ですね。
So we're going to have some fun with this, hopefully. It's a nice, short and sweet beat 'em up game. And I'm ready to get started whenever y'all are. So I can give a countdown and we can get going.
ドラコダンさんが、イギリスから今すぐにスタートです。最初のステージは、チュトリアルです。このゲームは、まずの一番説明が、ダッシュ攻撃ですね。So that first enemy wave there is それは早く切ることができる。全部の敵が、最初のステージの左で、両方側が出てくる。右左と、ウェイはよく出てくる。で、また、飛べるステージもあります。たまにね、相手ぶつかった後は、飛び込む、飛んでるの字がランダムになる。ということは、たまに、ローバットの体、ぶつかった体がどこか落ちてくるはわからないと、なんか自分の攻撃が邪魔するで。この今先のレーザーの火器を使ったは、超必殺技、1ゲージの超必殺技と、相手はちょっと距離になるんですね。これを使ってと。最初ぐらいは敵がすごく弱いので、全画面クリアことが、ゲームボーイイベントだから、バッテンも簡単し、ドラクダン、今のプレイ、このモードはイージーモードっていうことは、スーパーゲージが結構早くで回復する。で、普通はね、普通モードは確かに3ゲージ、9ゲージと、ハードモードっていうのは、限界は3つのゲージ。でも、簡単モードは、限界は99ですね。と、リミットは99と、そのゲージが早く溜まる1個のは、無限ですね。無限スーパーを持ってるんです。だから、ほとんどボスの時は、レーザーの攻撃を使うんですね。それが一番強い。しかも、ちょうどフレームコンプリートにできたら、すぐにもう一つの超必殺技が使うことができる。多分最初からドラコダンのアップグレードするのは、そのレーザーの攻撃で、その後はショットっていうのは先の全画面をなんかマシンガンの攻撃が出てくる。その攻撃はまた、これからは使わないけど、最後のステージぐらいは多分ボスラッシュのところに、全部のボスの、距離するため使いですね。だからその2つのステータスはアップグレード。あとは、それは多分攻撃ですね。今、その90ステージですね。昔のシューティングゲームみたいけど、アストロボーイのビームがもう本当に強いで、横さも無限だから、ちょうど敵が画面に入って当たりますね。
There aren't very many of these in the game though, and you do have an element of optimization in these auto-scrollers. They follow the same.
本当にもうアストロボーイは強すぎですね。
The enemy waves are going to progress by clearing the screen as fast as possible. and most of these waves do have scripted locations that enemies will appear from. So it's pretty much a case of being in the right place at the right time.
次は下に来ると思う。
本
当にグラディウスみたいですね。これ。
top enemy that I just missed, but it is extraordinarily tight. When I
でこのステージもしっかり作った、トレジャーとトレジャーの作品は本当にもう世界中は有名と思います。いつもめっちゃいいゲーム作ってる。
There's no huge big skips in this game. There's no glitches or tricks in this
スキ
game.
ップと
This game
バグ
is an optimization
やグレッチがないんですね、このゲーム。本
thousand
当に
different ways to lose several frames, and it's just stringing together all of the most optimal
敵がちょっと入る前にぐらいが攻撃されることができるけど、以外はもう本当にまっすぐプレイが必要。ただ覚えるだけ。
how much time you have to like buffer your next input out of your current animation. So like that's something that like some fighting game enthusiasts will be familiar with. Some fighting game enthusiasts also hate that kind of system. But it's very useful for this game. So 3 punches and a arm cannon to deal with this mini boss.
鈴鹿さんの他のキャラクターも出てくるけど、いつもなんか、チェイ先生の、いつも通りの、隣のロボットが桃っていうはいないですね、このゲーム。だから本当にたまにキャラクターが違うんですね。
Of course, this bat pushes me to the left slightly. That's just unfavorable RNG.
このステージは、このギミックは周りが見えない。
I would have preferred to not touch the ground there, but I missed
その
that boost.
ステージのここから行くは覚えるしかない。
So good job, mate. Take care of one robot here. Gonna need to time a boost to be intangible to avoid the
ロボ
damage
ット映
from
像
falling on you.
は
Arm
一
cannon
つの
plus
ビー
a
ム使
finger
う
laser
と
dispatches these guys. And we just boost on to the next screen.
ダ
Now,
ウンになる。
this screen is... I probably hate this screen more than any other in the game.
これは
Especially
一
when I
番
was making
難
the
しい
task,
画
I
面ですね
actually。stopped work on the task for a few minutes because of this screen.
本当に
It was just a nightmare to
敵がどん
optimize.
どん出て
And
く
then
る。
once I found a variant that I was pretty happy with, I found that there's like a cycle at the end of the auto-scroller that you can't
サイク
really
ルがちゃん
directly
とありま
control
す
in
け
a
ど、も
conventional
し
sense, and you just
敵
stand
が
to lose
倒せな
like a
い
couple of hundred frames
と
if it's not
仕方ない
perfect. And it's hard to
こ
describe.
の画面がちょっとラグ
All
に
you
な
need
る
to
ん
know
で
is
す
I
ね。
kind of suffered over it. That's
だからロックダウンは
fairly fine. And we actually got a
前
good
の
cycle
タ
at
イ
the
ト
end
ル
of
は
it. Yeah,
こっ
it
ち
got me to
の
the bottom of the screen pretty
ラウ
quickly.
ティング
And
なんかどうやってゲーム早くクリアするは先
yeah,
の
okay. So there's a few
画面は
frames
一
of
番
time
難し
using
か
an
っ
arm
た。
cannon there to actually kill those enemies in a single blast without getting hit yourself.
まあ自動スクロールけど本当にその画
This
面
is
が
Pook. This guy always goes between the okay. Goes between the 4 animal forms. that he
自分
has
が
in
レオ
self
のフォ
combat.
ームに変身してはい
And once he goes
一番
through the
ありや
4
すい
animal
けど
forms,
ま
you
あ
start randomly
簡単モードでは
and you want to see
大
the
体
lion
一つの
form
必
as
技す
little
る
as
と
possible, 'cause there's a bit of forced
違うのフォームがなんか
There's
ちょ
a
っ
little bit
と
of
失
forced
敗し
time
た
loss every time the Leo form appears.
で
And I struggled a bit with the fish form there because I just missed time when to start my
健康に
arm
な
count
っ
as a
た
Leo form.
ちょっと早いんですねもう
The
本当に
frame data is
たまに
such
勝
that
手に
you can get the
進
full
化する
amount of damage needed to trigger the next transformation.
違うフォームになった場合は、まあ、時間
It's a little
負け
harder
る
than
で
you
すね
think for the fish
この
form,
ゲーム
since you
の
need to start damage early enough so that it doesn't
ING
dig
の
below the
ことです
floor. But if you start it too early, then you don't get all of the
その辺は
ticks
さっ
from
きは
the
ちょっと
actual arm cannon. So then you still not get the damage.
まあ
So it is
まあまあ
actually
よ
pretty
かっ
tight. So stage 3, we're on the moon. And the last upgrade
もう
point that I
stage
got,
3 に
I
なっ
did
た
not
まあ
misclick. We do deliberately put that upgrade point
月
into
さん
shot.
の軍兵の
Because
ベ
there's
ー
a
スで
couple of
戦う
instances of screen-wide enemies here where with one shot point, we actually destroy the
う
enemies
まい
all
で
in
す
one hit.
ね
And the shot is going to be the secondary stat used at
ロ
the
ケット
end.
も攻撃
So
こ
this
と
is
が
a
でき
pretty
るだから
convenient spot to start leveling it,
避ける
since
こと
it
が
results in a little bit of direct time save at this stage. So this silo section, boy, every runner loves this screen where you've got enemies spawning at like random points of the screen.
ちゃんと
And
1、
again, you
2、3
can't
攻
progress
撃
until all
タイミングしたら、その次の
this is
敵
okay,
が
you're gonna pause scum a little to
敵
make
から
sure I can
敵
see
を
where
ぶ
the
つかる
enemies
こと
are.
ができる。
Okay, I've actually
本
had
当に
worse
どこから飛んでいくはも
And
うわからない
triangles
で。
strat there, starting that where you wait at the bottom of the silo for a few seconds so that the first few enemies will hopefully cluster all in one place. And that was first discovered by Sonic
Hey,
Booster,
hey,
another very
hey,
talented
hey.
runner of this game. So boost through the snakeheads here, turn around and arm cannon to get more than one. Same thing here, arm cannon, just very wide, streamlined attack, very powerful.
本
The
当にメ
only
ガメンが思い出す。
thing to consider when you want to just spam the arm cannon or any super attack
Oh.
really is you can see every time you trigger a super attack in this
あ
game,
ない。
there is a startup animation that's about 2 seconds long. So you basically need to weigh up the cost
全
benefit
部の
of getting the
スーパーが
DPS
発動する
using the
と
arm cannon versus
2
every
秒
time
が
you
か
use
か
an arm
る。
cannon, you're basically losing 2 seconds. So if it doesn't save that much
ってこ
time,
と
then
は
it's actually
も
not
し、
a time save to even use
攻
the arm
撃が
cannon.
早いはそっちの方をに
And I
す
didn't
る。
really know what the exact frame data was on frames
That's
lost or gained in a lot of spaces until looking at this in a task environment. It's one of the main reasons that I decided to start working on the task for this game, because I was like, man, I wonder what the actual frame data is for a lot of the RTA related stuff in this game. And I was originally just going to make it as like an RTA only
攻
theory
撃は全
task.
然出てなかった今。
I just had right now, I want to make this as optimized as possible. I want to make this a really good task. So, hidden upgrade point here.
そう、スーパー使うとスーパーチャージになるは
Route for a long time.
結構すごいんですねけど、まあ他のモードだとゲージが
And
2万になります。
until
だから、
starting work
多分
on
簡単
the
モードだけ
category for this game,
できる
that。getting that upgrade point actually saves time in the section that I'm in right now. This whole screen is another screen where you need the hypersensor to be able to see clearly. Otherwise, you have this fog effect. And normally in this section here, with
ハイ
those
パー
bugs
センスっていう
and
のは
the
アイ
rest
テ
of
ム
the
が
screen,
こっ
you
ちの
have
画面
really
が
awful lag that
よ
occurs. Like the game basically runs at
けど
50% speed.
取ってな
But
い
for
だから
some reason, getting that upgrade point that I just did
know.
cancels the lag virtually entirely. I do not know
なん
why
か
that
特
happens
別
or
ア
how
イテム
that
取っ
works,
たらしい
but
で、
that
そのラグ
is
が
what happens.
キャンセル
And
に
it's
なっ
like,
た。
okay, so we can get a slightly more optimal upgrade point, and it significantly shortens the length of the screen. Like, it was
その
just, it was a very
キリ
frustrating
が
discovery.
消えるアイテムもあるけど、それが取ったら、ラグはまだあるけど、アップグレードのポイント、別のアップグレードポイント取ったら、先の画面が、キリがまだ残ってるだけど、ラグが消えてしま
Three
う。
punches into a boost cancel there just to make the animation slightly shorter. Because if enemies are going to take more than 4 hits, it is very slightly faster to cancel the last hit of a combo, which is always a kick, and restart a new combo. The kick takes a bit longer than the punches. And so it only costs a few frames to cancel a combo into a boost.
もう終わり。 あ
Frame data y stuff. It's the sort of thing that like fighting games
あ、思い出し
absolutely
た。
love.
確かに、ビーンがずっと回ってくるですね、この部屋。そうそうそう。そんなに簡単が使ってできる、すごい。いや、思い出した、そっちのカメラは結構むずいんですね。
Upgrading the laser here. And now we're in Antarctica, where there's like a... It's the... What the... Oh, I wasn't supposed to boost that. That's fine. I say that as though it's a big deal. Like, oh no, I'm gonna die or I'm gonna lose lots of time. It's like, nothing like that happens in this run. It's just, again, it's 1,000 different ways to lose minor bits of time. That's all it is. So yeah, we're in Antarctica. The first human president of a nation has been elected, and now there's a human terrorist plot to assassinate him, because apparently humans don't like there's humans that absolutely hate robots in this universe. Okay, no, this is probably my least favorite screen in the game. Oh my god, this screen. So, same rule as before, you don't progress until previous enemies are dead. However, you've got these floating platforms that can randomly appear on the left or the right. And if they're on the right, that's good. They
このステージも自動スクロールけど、左と右は
screen. So if they are on the left, you want them to at least be near the bottom of the screen so they leave the screen sooner. TLDR, you want to see as many platforms on the right as you can manage, and you can't control that. It's
このステージが早くになります。
That was okay RNG. That was like, it was not the worst. And there weren't that many high left platforms, so yeah, definitely could have been worse.
なるほどな。敵が
So now
下
we're
の画
zooming
面
back to the
で、
conference that we were just at, because there's
すぐ
a
に
nuclear tank
面から出てく
headed
る。
for the conference. It's like,
難しそう。
alright, this escalates pretty quickly, I guess. So we get another lovely little auto-scroller. During the development of the task itself, obviously in an auto-scroller section like this, there's not that much to actually optimize. It's like you're in the right position to kill enemies on the first frame. What else do you really do? So I decided to take it on myself to make sure that whenever possible during these segments, Astro bounces around the screen like a DVD logo. And there's at least one instance in the task where Astro does touch the cornermost pixel of a screen and does the corner DVD bounce. So that's pretty good. Go watch it, see if you can see when that happens. It's like, it's so dumb. There's nothing else to do in these sections. Alright, yeah, this is the way where you can just sit here. I might be in the right spot here to avoid all the damage here, but then you do need to go down a little. Oh, am I in the right? Oh man, wrong both times. Damn. Taking so many hits, and I'm still like above half life. I got hit and I didn't even take damage there. My life stayed at 16,000. Like what? Alright, maybe easy. I didn't quite get the frame data for that. So the idea of that strat is to intentionally get hit by the first enemy that hits the top, so that you can be in the right position for the bottom enemy to be hitting it on the first possible frame. In other words, not needing to wait until it gets in front of you. But I messed up the timing slightly, didn't have the iframes for it. Take an intentional hit here and get down one bubble of the life bar so that I can start another arm cannon. The arm cannon is really weird in that it gives you some like very selective invincibility and intangibility from certain forms of damage, which the tank itself, Karabs, apparently counts as. So it's a little weird. I don't quite know how to explain it. Which, oh my, of course this is standing here. So, you ideally want to be able to kick these enemies, cluster them all in one place. But, yeah, small enemies. So again, boost, turn around, use a screen wide attack, but this is not the best. It's... yeah, whatever. Random enemy placements, they don't necessarily play ball, the enemy AI is a little weird. Optimizing this is a little bit of a nightmare. So we're going to do a full punch combo and... oh, I did not... wow, that was... how did that even happen? How did I finger lace that? I apparently was holding up on the controller, even though So laser is fully boosted, now we're going to start boosting shot. Boost ahead, turn around. Again, the enemies snap inwards when they're occupying the same space as Astro once you become solid again. Very exploitable trick throughout the whole run. And we're going to come now into the final auto-scroller section of the run. And appropriately, I would say this is platforms that they don't just sit in place. They loosely track you, but they're also like kind of pseudo-random in how they wiggle around. So you can partially determine where they go, and you want them to be as close to the bottom of the screen as possible. But it's just one of those things where you don't have like full control over one. That's actually pretty good on that wave, getting the balls as they pretty much as they came in. Actually, doesn't matter how quickly you kill these enemies because you have to wait for these spikes to and this wave here, this wave also, it does not matter how fast you kill these because there's another like small wave tied to these things that come in on their own. These are the ones that you need to kill as quickly as possible. Oh, that was super cool. So again, you've got to kill those as soon as possible, but you don't really control where they spawn in from, and you can only fire right in front of you. So if they're at the right height, you can kill them super quickly. That was also perfectly optimal, just inside the hitbox, killed on the first available frame. This is actually a pretty good section, I'm not gonna lie. These spike balls trigger based on proximity, so you don't need to even kill them. You can just get near them in a pretty consistent time. Just trying to lead these things towards the bottom of the screen, and didn't quite have the damage to finish that one before it exited the bomb. That's kind of what I mean, that you don't have full control over where they go. You lead them to the bottom, but they can just decide to go too far, and you don't have like the full damage to kill them before they decide to pop back up. It's a little bit irritating.
どれぐらいかな
Again, like everything else, it's only a minor time loss. There is no such thing as huge time losses in this one. Seriously.
このビーム
The
が
only
弾
like,
が
huge time loss that you can
消す
possibly
だから
decide the finger.
なんかスラットがないんですね
The only like huge time loss you can get in this game, if any, is like dying on a boss fight, and even then, like you start at the boss fight, it's really not a huge deal.
もし
Actually,
たらだ
pretty
ね
good kill on that enemy combo there,
ボス戦
where you want to
の
take
特
a
に
couple of
倒れ
specific
たら
kicks to
この
plus
ボ
them
ス
in a
の
specific way. Also, in the side boost here.
戦からが回避
And
別に
you can
最
finish
初
off
ステージ
with
最
a
初からが
combo or a finger laser. Now, as you can
restart
see,
が
the
必要
screen
ない
is a little annoying for this section, as you cannot see which side the enemies are spawning from. For this second wave, however, there's a very consistent setup. Take a deliberate hit, and by that point, the 6 enemies have all come on screen. So you can just do the standard strat of boost to the side, turn around, and laser across the screen once they've all been snapped on screen.
敵が現れてから左にダッシュしてビームの
And I say this is a boss. This is barely a boss. So all you've got to do is move to the right a little so that the boss Dead Cross does not get pushed
若干
off
右
screen
に
by
よ
the
って
arm cannon.
ボス
The arm
が
cannon only damages enemies that on screen. So it is possible
画
to
面の
push him off screen if you don't
出ない
slow
よう
him down
に
far enough, and then he
全
can
部の
use
攻撃
projectiles
が
from
入り
off
込む
screen.
です
That's
ね
easy mistake to make by trying to be too optimal, like starting damage as quickly as possible. And as you can see, yeah, not really a boss fight. I don't consider it a boss fight. Right. So now we go 30,000 years back into the past,
本当のボス
which is how you
ら
know
しい
this
んじゃない
definitely
んだ
qualifies as an enemy.
本当にはめ技
And we're going to just get through a couple of enemy waves here. These drop in very convenient patterns to be just instantly owned by the arm cannon. This can just be arm cannoned instantly, and we need to wait for the next one though to again snap it on screen so I can turn around and hit both of them. And we're going to have another one here with some pseudo-random enemies. Lovely.
うわ
This might be Sketch, actually. It's Sketch! And this guy was defending. Lovely. Thank you again. Alright. So that was actually a bad enemy wave. That's an example of like how an enemy wave can go
さっき
wrong.
防御した
And once again, it only goes wrong in the region of like a couple of seconds, if that. It's not too bad. This next enemy wave is a few very small enemies, but they are actually some of the
あ
most
また
annoying
ち
enemies
またちびきれから出てくるかわいい
more instantly. They can put their shields up and just ignore damage, and it's more annoying than you would think to deal with that enemy wave.
ちびキャラクターもガードことができるんですねただ小さすぎだからいつがするかわからないらしい
Now, please God, don't make move
本当
mistakes.
に小さ
Using the intangibility to avoid the wheels here. Use a straight jump. So the only glitch that exists in this game, if you want to consider it a glitch, is you can horizontally boost into slopes and the game will push you up the slope faster. I assume just because the game can't like apply the horizontal speed, so it applies it vertically instead or something like that. And here is Sharaku. So there's already been a bit of an AI manipulation used in this fight. This guy can randomly use a couple of different color-coded attacks. And the green attack is really bad because it wastes like 15 seconds. You can't damage him during it, you've just got to sit and watch him do stuff. But he can only use one color-coded attack at a time, and being below him when the fight begins guarantees that he will use the red-coded attack, which it causes a lot of lag, but it at least means that he will not use the
確か
green
に
attack.
最後の
And now we're back to the present, and now the timeline has changed, and the world is now like a post-apocalyptic wasteland because all-out war has broken out between the humans and the robots. So we've got to put things right
確かに
by
このストーリーがなんか
of the world's strongest
未来と
robots. I'm not
現在
sure how Gundam's going to make things
格
right,
闘
but
が
that's what we've got to do for the story.
移動こ
So
と
we've
が
already
で
killed the
きる
versatile robot North, and now
は
we're
っき
coming
り
to
ストーリー
the
覚えてないけ
invisible
ど
robot Denko. This is supposed to be a pretty long fight
もしなん
where
か
he
ステージ
disappears
が
to trick these sensors,
なんか
but
全クリアしたら、
And I
そ
even
の
get
現在が
almost
確か
frame
に
perfect. So, assuming your movement is perfect there, you have a 3-frame window to land that punch that I just got. And we can start using the shot to
また
initiate
同じ
stun
ステ
locks
ー
on bosses.
ジに
I
よ
said
る
the
と
shot is the second
確かに
stab
なん
gun
か
to
違
use,
うの
and
敵
haven't
が
really
出
been
てく
using
る
it a lot. The utility of the shot is that the more it is upgraded, the longer it stuns enemies for. And most of the bosses in this last gauntlet have short periods where you can attack them and they become vulnerable. So if we can stun lock them, we can simply get them in one cycle during their first vulnerability phase, such as the armored robot Bronze here.
無敵
Every
な
time he
感じ
uses
じゃない
one of his bonus attacks, core attack, his blue core comes out here that you can see, stays out for a couple of seconds and then it goes back in. So at the current upgrade level for the shot, we're able to generally manage 2 arm cannons for every 1 usage of the shot. The only rule here is that you need to be off the
ガ
ground
トリ
to
ン
use
ショットを使
to
う
be able to hit
と
the core with the arm cannon. If you are even 1 pixel off the ground,
まあ
you
時
can
間
hit the
が
core. But if you're on the ground, your
ま
arm
だ
cannon will miss the
大
core.
丈夫みたいそ
So
の
deal with them there.
青玉がま
We're going
た
to come up
入
to
る
the aquatic
Iron
robot,
Knight.
Epsilon here. And this is the only fight where the beginning tactic is a little different. I'm going to start with a shot instead of the arm cannon so that I can see what the attack is leading off with.
最初のからショット使う別にピョーリングのためじゃなくて何の攻撃を使うのため、やっぱり画面が遅くなりますだから、敵の次の次の攻撃は何するは簡単にバレるですね。今は最後のボスですね。プルート。
But again, the shot can be used to completely stun lock. So let's see what we get. I do want to use it as little as possible just so that I can use more turns on using the arm cannon to kill sooner. So we'll see what we can get. There's a few attacks that you can use here. You want to see missile volleys as well.
そんなに強くないまだ。
I need to stop this.
無限ビーム使うと。
If you don't play around it, will kill you pretty much before you can really react to it. Well, not react to it, but before you can really stop it.
こういう今さっきのビームの攻撃が反応しないと一撃ないけどやれる可能性がありますのでだからその時間ですすごい GG あっという間ね
Well, you get an upgrade point from Bluto. You get some cutscene. Pluto dies, then everyone dies because like the apocalypse happens, and the Earth is now a wasteland.
無限ビームやってみたいね。
なかなかあそこまで必殺技出せるゲームもなかなかないんで。
It's an anime game. You know exactly the sort of thing that's going to happen. It's a super cool game. Please go play this game if you haven't. It's so good. I like it.
まあ本当に子供頃とこれを見ては、もう簡単なゲームですねけど、まあ前はそんなに結構難しいが思いがある。まあ多分普通モードかハードモードは全然違うのことが出てくるけど、まあダカダンがこのゲームがアニメスピードランフェスティバル紹介したいって言われただから、僕のことはバックアップコートに入って、結構すごいゲームがみんなに見せて。
Very nice. Do you have any last
ハードモードは地獄ですね。そんなにやっぱり知ってる方がいる。
There are a few people who really love running this game. There's a few like notable names you'll see on the leaderboard. Primary one I want to shout out again. I mentioned Sonic Star during the run. Good friend of mine, great speedrunner. And dude, I'm waiting for you to come back to the game. I know you can like really challenge my time. I know you're capable. I've seen what you can do in other games. Like, let's see it happen, dude.
Yeah, of course. Also, I would like to let everyone know, real quick before I transition off, we will be restarting the stream soon to avoid the Twitch stream's 40-hour limit. Make sure we have more smooth during our actual run sessions. We will be back shortly after a transition. So be ready. Again, thank you very much.
ありがとうございます。
glad to see you again.
面白かった。
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you very
cool.
much as well for having me. I would
たくさんの、今からソーラートン
Our next game
ソーラートンライン
is
が
Sword Art Online Hollow
ですね。
Realization,
で、
run by Lil Sharky
ソーラートン
and
ラインの
by
コミュニティは
Artisan. You've seen them a couple
まあ
times. They did a
ディスコードの中
discussion block earlier
結構
talking about the game, so we're gonna see a bunch of new strats. I think it's gonna be really,
たくさん
really
の話
cool.
があるで、
Really
この
fast.
ホローリライゼーションっていうのゲームは、前は、10時間以上がかかりましたけど、そのコミュニティがいろんなバグとトリックが見つかって、時間が、まあ、だいぶ変わった。ぜひ楽しんでみてください。
はい。
Yeah, so I played this
楽しみ
game
にしてい
a
ま
lot.
す。
Too many
は
hours.
い。
I think
ありがとうご
on
ざい
my
まし
save
た。
file, which is not even fully
はい。
ここまではアストロボーイ鉄腕アトム、アトムハートの秘密でした。解説のDBcadeさんでした。ありがとうございました。
いえいえ、こちらこそ皆さんありがとうございます。もしドネーションがしたい、そのドローチェンジのノンプロフィットは、私たち頑張って、ギフを集めて、なんか質問があれば、ぜひディスコまたは自分にいつでも DM して、まあ、ドローチェンジの話だけじゃなくて、ゲームの話がめっちゃ好きだから、いつでも大丈夫で、毎週、ほとんど、まあ、多分来月もほとんど毎日が配信するので、アニメゲーか格ゲーが好きなら、またレトロゲー、ぜひ楽しんでください。夜はいつも、日本の夜はいつも日本語だけけど、英語を学ぶたいは朝の辺が、楽しみこと、世界向かってるんですね。だから、ぜひゲームを楽しんでみましょうか。はい、よろしくお願いします。またね、声かけます。イベント中なので。はい。
はい。
以上です。
はい、ありがとうございます。はい、続いての準備がありますので、一旦失礼させていただきます。
声が出てくる。今、配信が、4時、8時間の限界がある。だから、1回のリストリームがリスタートするんですね。
はい、ありがとうございます。
時間いただいて、お願いします。
はい。
5分ぐらい。
で、引き続きよろしくお願いします。
はい、失礼します。
Yeah, it's a little hard on these hills. I tried to go lower to the ground, but I think part of the lag is getting to me. I also should have just full first really. This character is really good on the ground too. It would actually be faster in a couple of these sections to just do that. So do note that I'm just kind of trying out to show how I would play the character, but in this case it was actually so yeah. So pretty good there. Yeah.
Yep, that was a fine 5-3, and we're on to 5-4.
Yep, for sure. So, yeah, doing pretty good on pace so far. I think it's not too bad. Let me get to that. I'm going to quickly server mute. Okay. Sorry. Okay. It's mild misclick. So, Blackbeard. We're gonna be using Blackbeard on this stage. 5-4. Blackbeard's pretty cool. A very fast character, very odd character. Remember, I used to get asked a lot, like, why'd you put Blackbeard really high on your tier list, or, etc., etc. There's a lot that goes into exactly why that is. One of the biggest things is his movement speed is actually insane, and as unorthodox as he is, if you cancel a lot of his moves early, they're very, very good, which is a very weird thing to measure on a lot of the characters in terms of how good they are. But yeah, he's very exceptional.
Yeah, so here we clear out all these guys in the center. I think we hit the bottom left bell to take us into a secret path, and then we follow the secret path through. After we take out the guys on the secret path, we fight some Brûlé spawn Luffy's, and then Brûlé spawns with a bunch of fakes, and you have to go for the correct one. But we know that I think the one all the way in the north, I think that's the real Brûlé. So yeah, just go capture the
northeast
shield.
Brûlé will be kind of the correct Brûlé. So we didn't need to fight any of these, we just need to be at the staircase to trigger the fake Luffy's to spawn. So we have to take them out, it's part of the mission. And then we will
Now we sprint north.
So if you glide perfectly with this character, you can lose like nearly no height, which is fantastic. Also, Blackbeard has properties where he destroys anything he walks near because he's a black hole, living black hole. So while characters are in this darkness, they take double damage from supers, so he will die here. Or she, in this case.
Yeah, this Brûlé has a ton of health compared to a normal character. The opposite of like Bluno from earlier, who is really weak. She's got like 3 times normal health, something like that. And that wraps us up for 5-4.
Yeah, Blackbeard's good. He has good movement speed, very good damage. His status is useful. It can be a little weird to get used to. You have to use the like Rumble Fruit moves to kind of launch them out of it for double damage and whatnot. That's the intended way. Overall, fantastic character. I recommend just a lot of special moves on him. Just play around with spamming specials with him as much as possible while people are in darkness. Here, I'm going to use Robin. Robin's a pretty unorthodox character in this game. She hasn't changed much from Pirate Warriors 3, where she was fantastic, but the game has changed underneath her, so...
A decent technique character for a change.
Yeah. So, being that she was so abundantly broken before, she ends up being extremely damaging in this game as well. She is one of the few characters in the game that suffer from a bug with multi-hit moves, where in full force burst you actually lose damage output because
too fast.
Her moves will lose hits. So I will burst full force burst anyway with a lot of these because her attack speed's still increased and it's easier to work with special moves. But yeah.
Alright, so in this stage, we head south. We're kind of on an escort with this one, so we take out the enemies on our way through. Once we hit close to the gate going south, yeah, Katakuri is going to spawn, so we're going to take him out. This Katakuri is really tough, but Robin's tons of hits and chunking him down in no time. We're also on easy, so it's not too bad. On higher difficulties, he can be tough, and you have to fight him more than once in the stage. So yeah, keep on escorting south. We've got to try to get inside the Team Lucky Circle.
So you can trigger a bug on this stage by like killing Prospero before he spawns, and the game will get pretty sad, but we're not going to do that, it's fine. But do know it's possible Prospero falls from the sky and he's already dead and the wall breaks before it spawns. It's weird.